My goal for the Asian Trophy is just to win and leave with no regrets. Only few athletes have ever qualified for the Winter Olympics from India. This is mainly because of the fact that we have a lack of specialized facilities and sports like short track, skiing and bobsleigh require very expensive equipment. And how can we forget that our country's favorite sport is cricket.
Hi friends, welcome back to Prakhar Talks Sports. I hope you all have checked my previous video. It was an interview with Sarthak Dubey, the founder of Double Pass Development League. It's a grassroots football league which was started in Bangalore and which now functions out of Mumbai and Delhi as well. Watching that video, you would have realized how a grassroots football league works and how it is helping in the development of Indian football. And today I am sitting in Dehradun. I'm in Dehradun at Maharana Pratap Sports Complex at Himadri Ice Rink, and I am with India's 7-time national ice skating champion Eklavya Jagal, and we will be discussing Eklavya's life. I will be talking to him about his sport of short track ice skating. Dehradun is soon going to host the Asian Trophy for ice skating, so we will be discussing about the Asian Trophy, about Eklavya's life and how he got into the sport. So welcome Eklavya, welcome to Prakhar Talks Sports. So Eklavya, I would want to start off this interview by asking a bit about your childhood. Firstly, a bit about your childhood.
As a child, I was very timid.
Okay.
Most of my life most of my childhood I spent either training or just studying. I didn't usually go out to play with friends. I usually utilize that time either in performing some arts or just improving myself as a person and getting better at my sports.
Okay, so were you always interested in sports? Sports was always your thing as a child?
Yeah, I think it maybe runs in my family. My father is also a boxer. So like I have been interested in sports as a child. Before getting into skating, I was more into football. Mainly because of a show I used to watch as a child called Inazuma 11.
Okay, so you started with roller skating. Could you tell us about that part of your sporting career?
I started roller skating when I lived in Mumbai. I watched a bunch of people skating at the nearby sports complex, and it looked kind of fun, and I decided to try it out. In the first day of my doing roller skating, I by mistakenly went over the tail of a dog.
Oh.
And next thing I knew, I was running for saving my life.
Okay.
Surprisingly, I was able to get away from it, and it made me feel like I might have a knack for the sport.
Okay, that's interesting. So, but what prompted you to move from roller skating to ice skating?
When I used to train roller skating in Mumbai, my coach suggested me and a few friends to try ice skating at a nearby mall. It seemed like a fun idea to skate on the ice, so I just went for it to have fun, and I kept doing it. But later, when I learned that this was an Olympic sport, I had an idea to represent my country in the Olympic, and to be able to participate in such an event would be magnificent. And so I started training more seriously, and so as soon as I realized, I started enjoying short track more than roller skating.
So how old were you when you first started short track ice skating?
I was 8 years old when I started short track speed skating.
Okay. Do you recall your first short track ice skating competition?
I had two major setbacks before my first short track speed skating competition. It was my first nationals in Gulmarg in 2015.
Okay.
It was minus 23 degrees Celsius.
Wow.
And just before the competition, I had to take a 3-month break because of a massive crash I had during my roller skating competition. And I had got stitches on my chin. And despite these setbacks, I was still able to bag a silver medal in the 500-meter race.
Okay, so from my understanding, the sport of short track ice skating is not well known in major part of the country. So could you describe the sport of short track ice skating for us?
Short track speed skating is a competitive sport where skaters fight against each other on a 111.2 meter oval track. For us, speed is important, but strategy, a good strategy is required because athletes need to make split decisions in passing people and also to conserve their energy and to avoid collisions.
Okay, so if I were to ask you which countries are really good at the sport of short track ice skating, what would be your answer?
Countries like Canada, South Korea, China, and the Netherlands are able to produce top-tier athletes every year. Some of the athletes that I feel like are really good, some of the legends from the sport are the American legend Apollo Ono, the Chinese missile Wu Dajing, the Russian king Victor An, and
Wow.
the Hungarian brothers who now play for China,
Okay.
the Shaolin Liu and Xiaoweng Liu.
That's really insightful for you to tell my audience about some of the legends of the sport of short track ice skating. So, but if I were to ask you, when was the moment you realized that short track ice skating is going to be your future and you are going to pursue it for rest of your sporting career? So, when was that moment you realized it?
After winning races after races, I believe that this was the sport I was meant to do. I also had the dream of representing my country in the Olympics, and I believe that this sport could help me achieve my dream.
Okay, so you are a 7-time national gold medalist in the sport. If I were to ask you, what are the qualities that what it has taken for you to become a 7-time gold medalist? What are the qualities you will say that what it has taken from you to to become a 7-time national medalist in the sport?
For me, for sport like short track speed skating, technique is most important. It is a 99% sport which depends on technique. But for a tall athlete like me, the thing that really helped me a lot was the tremendous amount of raw power that I have, and it has. Even now that I have improved my technique in correlation with my raw power,
Okay.
I feel like I can improve very well.
Okay, very soon we will be seeing you participating in the Asian Trophy. We have participants from other top Asian countries as well. So, how have been your preparations for the Asian Trophy and what are your expectations from this tournament?
I have been training rigorously with the fast team at the Utah Olympic Oval for the past for the past year. I have been focusing on perfecting my technique and getting faster. My goal for the Asian Trophy is just to win and leave with no regrets.
Okay, that's good to know. So, you moved to Utah in USA in July of last year. So, what was the reason behind that?
I moved to Salt Lake City in Utah last year with my parents to train at the Utah Olympic Oval, which is considered as a center of excellence for the sport of short track. I believe that this place could help me come closer to achieving my goal of winning the Olympics.
So, if I were to ask, what is the difference in your what difference have you experienced in your training? Well, when you were training here in India and now that you are training almost on a regular basis in USA, what's the difference that you have experienced?
I have experienced that while training in US, my technique has gotten much better because there are coaches and special professionals who help me in specific areas. They have also helped me understand that despite me being a tall athlete, what things I can do which can help me better at the sport, because short track is a sport for shorter people, despite which I have been able to improve drastically in the past 2 years.
Okay. Your goal is to represent India at the next year's Winter Olympics. So, but in my research and my understanding, only very few athletes, handful of athletes have ever qualified for Winter Olympics from India. So could you tell from your experience, what is the reason? Where is India lacking in winter sports? if I were to ask you that?
Only few athletes have ever qualified
Yeah.
for the Winter Olympics from India. This is mainly because of the fact that we have a lack of specialized facilities, and sports like short track, skiing and bobsleigh require very expensive equipments, which need to be bought from abroad. And due to the lack of these facilities, athletes have to travel abroad to other countries, which is quite very expensive. And in India, most families just consider focusing on academics, as it is a more stable course of career. And how can we forget that our country's favorite sport is cricket?
Oh, yeah. So about time we should be looking beyond cricket. Okay, what can be done to improve this India situation in winter sports?
Well, the main things that they can do are improve sports culture in India. We need to have talent identification, which is currently primarily being done by Khelo India.
Okay.
And the government must adapt to improve the sports facilities in schools in order to build more confidence in children. And also they should make people aware about the importance of representing how great it feels to represent your country in the Olympics.
Okay. You are 18. You have started representing India in your sport at international levels. You have started getting recognition, but still, there are certain areas of concern which you would want to be addressed. So, at this stage of your career, what are the areas that you want should be addressed?
At this point in my career, I need to hire a personal trainer, because there are certain areas that I really lack in, which need to be covered, and these people can help me. Also, I have been training abroad for the past year, and I need living abroad is very expensive, and so the only thing I'm searching for right now is a sponsor.
Okay, so could you give us an insight of how expensive pursuing a career in short track ice skating could be?
Pursuing a career in short track ice skating is very expensive. It's mainly because of three areas. First being our equipment, our boots, which are the most important thing for any athletes. They are built customly for each athlete, which cost around 2 lakhs.
Okay.
And then come our blades, which despite being very expensive, need to be well maintained every time. They need to be sharpened, rocked, and also need to be prevented from getting rusted, because we skate on the ice. And then our cut-proof material, cut-proofs, which are made of Kevlar, and these are very expensive. And also skin suits, which are basically made for more aerodynamics. So they cost you a few $1,000 too.
Wow, that's...
And then it's the training. While training on the ice, we only get a small ice time, but it's still very expensive. The coach's fee, and in order to improve, you need to hire personal trainers, get gym memberships, so it becomes very expensive. And finally, the competitions. For competitions, you need to travel abroad to other countries, get visas, and also need to find hotels, food, and get your food. So yeah, short track is a really expensive food sport.
That's really you giving us the insights. It tells me like it really needs a lot of investment, a lot of money. Even if you want to pursue a career, even at the national level, forget international level. So, if I were to ask, what are your strengths? What would that be? Every athlete has his or her strengths that makes them stand out. So, what would be your strengths?
Like I said, I have a tremendous amount of raw power, which helps me more. Like if somebody gets tired, I do not get tired easily. I am able to push more. Also, I have a really strong mental capacity, even despite challenges. I got injured last week, but yet I still continue to race.
Wow.
So I do not give up easily.
Wow, I think in my experience, that is a very primal quality that any athlete should have, and you have that in you. You have that ingrained in you. That's brilliant to know. Now, Winter Olympics are fast approaching. You have set yourself a goal to qualify for the Winter Olympics, which will be hosted by Italy next year. So, if you end up qualifying for Winter Olympics, what would that mean for you personally?
Qualifying for the Winter Olympics means like a personal achievement to me, both for myself and at a national level. It will be the culmination of my hard work and the sacrifices I have made for the dream I have been chasing.
Okay, so if I were to ask you if how can India improve beyond short track ice skating in other sports, and if India has to become a sporting powerhouse, what should India do?
The major thing that India needs to do right now is build more sporting facilities to hone the sports and hire specialists in their field which can help athletes grow more. There are a large number of athletes in India who are right now facing difficulties because of lack of financial support from their families. So it would be great if the country could provide them with some financial support.
Okay, to wrap up this interview, I would want Eklavya to send out some message to young boys and girls who wish to now pursue a career in short track ice skating or any other sport. What message would that be?
The only advice I'd like to give to people is that don't do anything just because your friends are doing it or it is popular. Do something that makes you feel happy, and don't take it as a chore, but something that you can enjoy for the rest of your life. And the most important thing is to believe in yourself.
So thank you, Eklavya. That was my short conversation with Eklavya Jagal. I hope he performs really well in the Asian Trophy. He is able to fulfill his goals and he's able to make India proud. And most importantly, he's able to qualify for next year's Winter Olympics that will be hosted by Italy. If you like this video, if you learned something from this conversation, if you got to know what the sport of short track ice skating is, please give my video a thumbs up. Leave your comments below. Please give me the feedback how you're liking my videos. It is my pursuit to bring you some really fascinating stories from the world, from Indian sports, stories of like that of Eklavya. So thank you so much, and please subscribe to my channel Prakhar Talks Sports. It will really mean a lot to me. Thank you.